Hello and welcome to Journey to Lasting Love, the podcast. I am your host, Tina Shayani, and the head coach at TShay Coaching. If you are looking to attract a loving partner to build a relationship with that gets better with time, if you are looking to deepen your current relationship, or you just want to live a happier life, you are in the right place. Every week we will discuss a new topic that will bring you understanding, clarity, and the tools to become the best version of yourself, the happiest version of yourself. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to 2025. This is our very first in the new year. I'm so excited to share this day with you guys. As you know, I am Tina Shayani, the founder of Journey to Lasting Love, as well as the head coach at TShay Coaching, where we help people attract and build lasting, loving relationships. So I am so happy to welcome you here today. If you know someone that would benefit from this material, please invite them to the Facebook group or invite them to follow Journey to Lasting Love on Instagram. I always look forward to interacting with you guys throughout the week. If you would like to participate live, that is also great. Our topic this week is saying goodbye to say hello. And what does that really mean? Well, if we are willing and able and excited to welcome this new year of 2025, it's a year of infinite potential, but it can only be a year of infinite potential if we are willing to leave behind and say goodbye to the things that were in 2024. There are things that were great in 2024, and we can bring those forward with us into 2025. But there are certain things that we need to leave behind in order to be able to welcome the new and better things into 2025. We can't have both at the same time. So what are some of these things that we need to say goodbye to in order to welcome the better and new and say hello to those things in the new year? Well, some of those things are the attitudes that we hold, the stories that we tell ourselves. What is the story that you have been telling yourself and everyone else about you? I'm not a morning person. I am just lazy. We make up all of these stories about ourselves and we keep perpetuating them, and we make them into our limitations. And they may have started out that way, but they don't have to be there forever. So one thing that we can do is to stop fighting for our limitations. I hear so often, but I can't do that. I'm just not that person. But do you want to be that person? Do you want to be a morning person? I am also not a morning person, but I've been working on getting up 10 minutes, 5 minutes earlier every day. And even those small shifts make a difference. But the first place to make the shift is in the attitude. Stop saying that you are a limited person. And if somebody encourages you to do something different, if there is an opportunity to be a little bit different, don't turn down that opportunity because you feel that you have this limitation. So be willing to move forward from the limitation. You may be that person today, but it doesn't mean that you have to be that person forever. So be willing to let go of what was. And what was necessary to get you to where you want to be. So that's really another very important thing, is to not beat ourselves up for what has happened and where we are. Where we are and what has happened to us is all part of the journey. And who are we becoming? What is it that is happening to us? And who are we becoming? And who do we want to become in this new year of 2025? But we cannot be who we were and become something else at the same time. We have to be willing, at least to some degree, to let go of what has been. The same applies for relationships. We have had relationships in 2024, and there's a lot of talk about situationships. But in order for us to welcome in a new relationship, a new, healthy, loving relationships, we have to be willing to let go of the relationships that are not working. And situationships are by definition failed relationships, because if they were healthy, if they were viable relationships, then they would be something real instead of a situationship. And this is a new term that didn't even exist before, but it makes a lot of sense. It's that thing that we hold on to because it's better than nothing. We become so afraid that if I let this go, I'm never going to find anybody else. This person is willing to give me a tiny bit, so I'm going to hold on to this tiny bit because I fear that if I let this go, I'm going to have nothing. And the truth is that for a period of time, you are going to have nothing, and you are going to be by yourself. People fear being alone so badly, but there is a difference between being by yourself and being lonely. And to be by yourself, it's okay. And understand that this is a moment in time. There is a moment in time that it is essential to let go of what has been so that we can welcome in something new. So in order to welcome in that new relationship, in order to welcome in that new attitude towards ourselves, in order to welcome in a new relationship, a new way of relating to another human being, we have to slowly let go of what we thought before. Because what happens is we look at everything through that lens. Once we develop a certain attitude about something, it becomes the only thing that we see, and it may not necessarily be the only option that is available, but we become like we have tunnel vision, that we're only able to see that thing that was interesting to us, or that thing that we decided that something is this way, and then we're unable to see other options. I hear this from women so often. Oh my God, men are so terrible. All the men out there are so terrible. And if this is how you view the world, then when you go out into the world, you are going to find all of those terrible men, because that's where your focus is. And our brain is a very interesting mechanism, because it is there, our subconscious mind, to prove our theories to us. So if we go into the world with this theory that all men are terrible, our subconscious mind is going to do everything in its power to find evidence to prove us right. Nobody wants to be wrong. And that's another reason why we end up fighting for our limitations. We would rather have a terrible situation, have a limiting situation, than to admit that we were wrong. And this is a very natural human thing. But when we know that this is the case, then we can be different. We can think differently. What happens when we think differently? We begin to feel differently. And when we feel differently, we act differently. And what happens when we behave differently? We end up with different results. So you see how that works? In order to have something different, first, we need to be different, and we need to be willing to let go of the person that we have been in order to be something different. In order to be in a new relationship, you must let go of the old relationship. You can't be cuddling, sitting on the couch with a situationship and say, oh, I want a new relationship. The space is already full. So you need to clear out the space to be able to welcome in someone new. And you're going to have to be by yourself for a little while. And that's not the worst thing. And it's important to understand that it's temporary. Nothing lasts forever. So in order to achieve your goal of having a lasting, loving relationship, you have to be willing to be alone for a period of time, which is this period of time. And that's okay. It's not going to last forever. And there are also certain advantages to being by ourselves. When you are part of a couple or part of a family, you always have to consider what the other person wants. But as a single person, you can really do things for yourself and grow yourself. Or you can sit home and be sad that I am alone and grasp onto the first thing that presents itself, even though it's not what you want. But what happens if your hands are full? You cannot pick up something new. So this is an old analogy that I've used before. If you're holding a pile of rocks and you find a diamond, what do you need to do? You need to let go of the rocks to make space for the diamond. You cannot have both at the same time. We cannot hold both things at the same time. And sometimes what happens is we are hurt from a previous relationship, and that makes us weary. That makes us scared of putting ourselves out there and being willing to try again. And this works in so many situations. It even happens in friendships sometimes, that we get hurt in a friendship and then we are less willing to open up, less willing to put ourselves out there. But one experience doesn't mean that every experience will be that way. But what we can do, what we do have the ability to do, is to learn from that experience. In the relationship that you got hurt, where did you see something that you ignored? What did you learn that you want? What did you learn about yourself? What were you giving? What did you tolerate that you shouldn't have tolerated for so long? Then the next time you are in that same relationship, in that same situation, because the world will test you, you are going to encounter that relationship with a different person again. But this time, because of your experience, you will have the ability to see it and to recognize it right away. And that's growth. That's development. That's not a failure of a relationship. That's being ready for the next level and the next level. And in order to climb a mountain, you have to start at the base of the mountain, and it has to go step by step. So those relationships that we consider failed relationships, they're only failures if we don't learn from them. They're only failures if we hold on to them way past their expiration date. But if we learn the lesson, if we learn something from that relationship, then it is not a failure, but rather it is a win, because now in the next situation, we are able to do better. And each relationship with each person that we encounter, we are able to do better and better each time. And this is a win. So often we will meet someone, go on a date, and my client will call me, be like, and she'll say, I had these 4 great dates, and then it all fell apart. I don't want to be disappointed anymore. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. It's painful, but giving up will not get you to your result. And this love relationships, like everything else, has a formula. I was talking to a client the other day that is a physician, and she said, I just can't do it. I keep going out there and I keep doing this and that. And I'm just going to hold on to this situationship because I don't want to be by myself. So we had a discussion. Well, what did you do when you were in medical school? You wanted to go out on a Saturday night because that's so much more fun than staying home and studying. But you knew that if you wanted to achieve the goal of passing those exams, you needed to stay home and study. You did have the option to go out and party and not study, but then what was going to happen? You were not going to achieve your goals. And this works in exactly the same way. If your goal is to have a lasting relationship, you must stay home and study. And what does it mean to stay home and study? Is to let go of a relationship that doesn't work and tolerate the temporary discomfort of being alone in order to be able to achieve the goal of meeting someone new and developing this new relationship. So what does it mean to stay home and study? It means that you have to let go of something when you know that it's not working. And we all know when it's not working, and we choose to lie to ourselves and continue when we know that it has passed its prime. What else does it mean is that we need to keep trying. We need to keep meeting new people. So if you go out and it doesn't work, that's not a signal that there's nobody out there and that there is something wrong with you. That's a signal that you need to keep trying. So that's the message here. We need to have our goal and we need to keep trying, even if it doesn't work at first. But if we continue to try and we continue to learn from every interaction that we have, you will succeed. It is a guarantee. So in the analogy of studying, it may be harder for some people than it is for others. But if your goal is to do well, there are certain sacrifices that you're going to have to make along the way. But they are worth it because those are the things that will help us to achieve our ultimate goal. So then we can move forward. We learn the lesson and then we move forward. So in the analogy of the physician, she had to learn those first level courses before she was able to take the second year and the third year and the fourth year courses. So it is the same with love. We may not be ready for our person. So we need to sometimes go out with other people, interact with other people, meet different people to learn the lessons so that when we meet our person, we are ready and we have the tools to recognize what is before our eyes. And then we have the tools also to appreciate this person that is part of our new journey. So all of those things that we consider to be failures are all part of the process. And they're not really bad because they are necessary in order to make us better. And it is okay. It's not a failure. We have this tendency to beat ourselves up. If you go on a date and it doesn't work, so what? It doesn't mean anything. The only time it means something is when we attach the meaning to it. If you meet someone and he doesn't like you, so what? There are plenty of people that you don't like either. There's plenty of people that don't like me, but that's okay. That's for them to decide. That's really not my business. If they don't like me, then they don't need to pay attention to me. They don't need to talk to me. And that's okay. And of course, if you don't like me, you shouldn't be my client. So, it all goes together, but it's not personal. There is somebody that resonates with me and someone that resonates with somebody else. And all of these things are part of the process. So what is it that we need to leave behind in 2024? The things that made us feel bad, the things that held us back, the attitudes that made us want to stay home instead of going out with excitement and joy in order to meet someone. What do we need to leave behind? That clinging to having something, anything is better than nothing. If we can leave those things behind, 2025 can be our year. And just like everything else, love and relationships is a formula. And if you first need to know what that formula is, and you have a little bit of discipline to not go back and do things the way you've always done things, because the way you've always done things has gotten you to where you are today. And if that's a great place, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to be different in a year, if you want your relationship to be different a year from now, whether it's an existing relationship or a new relationship, if you want that to be different, then it's time to start doing things differently. And the first really important steps is to learn this formula, because it's something that we were never taught. So to understand what changes need to be made in order for me to have this successful relationship, what do I need to learn? We learn those things and have a little bit of discipline to follow the formula. And it's really pretty much guaranteed that if you follow this formula, you will be successful. And I run through this one-on-one with my clients, that we go through what it is that they're doing and what would be a better approach. What would be a new successful approach? And what's amazing is that it really works. It works so well and so quickly that it often feels magical. But the magic isn't me. The magic is you and the formula, and having the insight to recognize things and to let go of the things that are not serving us in order to welcome and say hello to the new, better things. I am so excited about 2025 and sharing it with all of you. And I hope that this is going to be the best year ever for all of us. And that's a declaration that we can make here together, that 2025 is going to be the best year ever. And now it's time to start taking action, start living as if it is the best year ever. Start taking action that will make it that way. We are so much more powerful than we ever realized we were. And it's time to embrace that power in 2025. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope that it was valuable. I hope that it was meaningful. Let me know what you think. I have one spot opening up for one-to-one coaching. If this is something that interests you, send me a DM and I'll explain how it works, and we can go through the details, and you can decide if this is something that is for you to propel you forward in the coming year. I look forward to seeing you here next week. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining today's episode of Journey to Lasting Love. If you felt a connection with what we shared here today, visit TShayCoaching.com for resources, blogs, and coaching options custom designed to take you from where you are to the place you dream of being. Join our Facebook group to connect with others or find inspiration on YouTube and Instagram. If you're ready for a personalized touch, you can book a call with me directly on the website to see what this is all about. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep moving forward on your path to lasting love.